Before we dive into your big interview, let's just start with how it even happened in the first place.
So I got a call from his team out of the blue. I did not know it was coming. I was actually doing my regular day and, working with some clients. And I got a call from his team that said, listen, we're considering you to interview the President of the United States. And I said, what president? You don't get a call like that every single day. And so she said, we want to give you the interview. So when they sent that to me, so this was like a couple of days ago. And then I said to my producer, this might not happen. It's the president of the United States. He'll going to pick somebody else. And then the next day they called me and said, listen, the White House is going to call you. We're going to work through the questions that you want to ask. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And I called my producer back and I said, this is about to go. And then I had a meeting with them, with the White House at 11 o'clock that morning. And they told me the time frame with which the president would be on. And while I was talking to the President of the United States, Corinne Jean Pierre went into the White House press briefing room and announced to the whole world that I was interviewing the president. I was one of two people to interview the President of the United States and that it was going to be aired the next day. And so while I was talking to the president, my phone started blinking and blinking and blinking. And I'm looking and I'm going, I had no idea this was going to happen. So it literally changed everything. I finished my interview with him and I have been fielding conversations with CNN and everybody else as a direct result from that. So, do you hear my voice? I'm losing it because I've been talking since Wednesday.
And I could just say, as a journalist myself, I don't even know how I would react to that situation because we do some interviews where it's just quick and you can go even sometimes without having to come up with questions. But that's
Right.
really an interview where you kind of have to just sit there, lock in, and really develop
Yes.
questions.
So the process with this was I had to agree to let them look at my questions, agree that we would only do four questions, agree. So they worked with me on agreeing what the questions would be. Right. So I got four options. They sent what they had. I, looked at them. I said, all right, this is this. We agreed on it. So that happened. So that was done before I even got into the interview. So, and I knew that was purposeful because they did not want to be blindsided. I get that, right? But they also knew as a journalist, I was thoughtful, I was consistent, and I allowed people to share without interrupting them. All of that is incredibly important. So to gain such an interview in a market where there was ABC, CBS, WHYY, and it came to us, was such an honor at WURD, was such an honor that I can't even begin to share with you. We're still recovering from it because now national organizations are calling us, asking for interviews, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the process.
How do you think the White House team actually found you?
They said that they had been listening. They said that they loved the way that I spoke to people and treated people, and they loved the thoughtful way I interviewed. That's what I got.
Yeah, and the president, he obviously is trying to do a lot of more public interviews and events following the debate. And so tonight he's going to be speaking with ABC as well. So, from
Yes.
your conversation with the president, how do you expect that to go?
So because there's been such a call for him to step down, I'm not sure how that's going to go. But what I do know about President Joe Biden is that he's not going to just walk away and give up. He has been entrenched in government for almost 40 years, if not more. And we all knew about President Joe Biden that he had a speech impediment. So when he stutters, people think that he's not cognitively there. He is cognitively there, and he always walks slowly, right? So I think he will continue to do what he needs to do to get his message across to the American people. And let's be clear. Let's be clear, Jaden. The man is 81 years old, but so is the person running for the Republican Party, Donald Trump. No one's questioning his age. No one's questioning his cognitive abilities, right? And so you have to wonder why just one side and not the other. Both of them are elderly men. There's data to show that both of them have done one way or the other. You see the history, right? That's been there for both of them for all the world to see. And so it makes me wonder why President Biden is having to face all this criticism when both of them are elderly. and we want to see exactly what it is, where they're coming from. And we know from Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, that he has created policies and things that have been harmful, particularly to Black Americans, Black and Brown Americans. And so I'm wondering, where is this coming from? But I also have to tell you, Jaden, there are there's a clutch of Black men and younger people who are having issues with President Biden. The Black men say that um, they don't feel that the Democratic Party embraces them and that they're able to build more wealth with the Republican Party. And the young people say that the Democratic Party is out of touch with their needs and their wants, and they feel pushed aside. So I really believe there has to be some work within the Democratic Party in engaging and inviting both those groups back to the table.
Yeah, and the polling is really interesting too, because a lot of times the parties will assume that specific voters will always support them. But especially in this election cycle, we're seeing that on top of the fact that we also have young people and more engaged in presidential elections, because thanks to these, they can really share their opinions and see a lot of things like previous generations weren't able to do. So that's definitely
Absolutely.
been a powerful tool.
And what I love about your generation is that you're not afraid to use your voice. You're not afraid to express your opinion about what you see. And so I work with a group of young people in the city of Philadelphia, and I've always said to them, why do you believe the way that you believe something? These are high schoolers, 16 to 18. I said, because we saw it on the internet. I said, did you do your own research? Mm-mm. I didn't do my own research. I just believed it. Well, did you have any experience with that particular thing happening to you? They said no. So I've been always encouraged them to do their research. The thing that has bothered young people more than anything else is their student loan debt. But the president has erased quite a bit of that for a lot of people. But I also believe that what's going on in Israel has been particularly painful for young Black and Brown people, not just in the United States, but around the world. And so those voices are rising up so that they can be heard.
And this, of course, was a really big way to start out the election coverage this year for you. So what do you think is next?
I don't know. I'm getting a lot of offers. People are reaching out to me, offering to be a publicist, offering to be this kind of stuff, offering shows, offering you name the thing, and that's all happened in 24 hours. But I am being deliberate and contemplative about what I do next because I love my people. I love the work that I've always done, and I want to be able to continue to do it in some form or fashion.
And the thing is, I just thought about that question I asked you. You didn't even see this coming. So I don't know
I
how we
did not.
predict what's next.
I didn't. I didn't, Jaden. I couldn't even. I'm getting ready to do another interview with CNN in 24 hours. I was quoted in the Washington Post. I mean, it's just it felt like one day I was this little anonymity, over here in the corner in Philadelphia, and the next day all of this thing blew up. But what happened when people started to look me up and research what I had been doing? They saw what the White House saw: kind, compassionate, authentic, right? Allow people to share their voices, whether I agree with them or not, right? Because that's real journalism, not just sitting in an echo chamber and listening to your own voice all day, every day. It is really about hearing different perspectives and giving people the space to make up their own minds.
Absolutely true. And I am so glad that you joined me to talk about it. And from one journalist to another, I'm just happy to see this all happen for you because it really is a really cool thing to have that happen, especially when you weren't expecting it on top of
Yes,
that.
sir.
So thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir. You're so welcome.